22 years old. I'm from Campinas, which is a city in Brazil. I'm here by the Science Without Borders program. I'm in Canada since January of this year, and I'm enjoying it so much.
So my first question is, how did you get involved with Science Without Borders, and what kind of requirements did you have to meet to get into the program?
I got involved with this program by my university. I knew about this program through my university. The requirements that I had to achieve to be here, I had to do a English proficient test, which is called TOEFL, and we were supposed to get a specific grade on it. And they also considered my GPA, and then they evaluated and made a selection of the better students.
Right. Did you get to pick where you went in the program?
Yeah, we had the opportunity to choose.
So, what sort of commitments do you need to fulfill while you're here? Is there anything you need to do while you're here at school at BU? Do you have, for example, do you have to get a certain GPA, or are there a certain kind of courses you have to take?
Yes, the government required that all the students that are here at the Brandon University completed a 3-month English course in the beginning of the program.
Okay, and what's that course called?
It's called English English for Academic Purpose, which is called EAP. And then after that we did a research for 3 months with one of the professors here of the university related to our area in Brazil. Right. And then after that we started university. I'm in the first term. And I'm taking courses related to my area, and my government requires that I achieve at least the 50%. That I pass. Right. In other words, they require that I pass.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I have to come back to my go back to my country.
Go back home.
Yeah.
Right? Well, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, I have a few more questions. I just thought of another one, but we'll ask that later.
Okay.
Do you find classes here in Canada, are they harder or as hard or easier than your classes in Brazil?
I think the level is pretty much the same, and I was surprised by that because I was expecting something more difficult. The challenge here for me in the beginning was the English. Right. Because sometimes the terms that they use are different. But I think it has been like a great opportunity for me to improve my English, and I think this is a great challenge.
Yeah, so English isn't your first language, right?
No.
No.
Not at all.
That's okay, it's Portuguese.
Yeah, it's Portuguese.
Do you find that because your classes are in a language that isn't your native tongue, do you find that that makes the learning process more difficult for you?
Yes, of course. I don't get the information as well as the Canadians do, but I consider that I have been able to understanding all the classes. I'm not having problem in understanding what the professors are saying.
Right.
And I think sometimes I have some difficulties, but I have been able to overcome all of them. Thanks God.
So, what do you do to overcome those difficulties? What sort of things have you had to do in order to, cope with being in English classes?
Actually, here the problems that I have been having are the same that I have in Brazil, manage time. But related to English, I think I'm doing pretty well. Yeah, but of course, sometimes you want to express yourself in some ways that you do very well in your language, and in English you cannot do in the same way.
Right.
But sometimes you ask for help, you ask the professor's help, or you search in a dictionary for some word that better fits.
Right. Oh.
Yeah.
Do you feel that what you're learning and studying here in Canada, do you think that that will help you to be better at your job, you know, at your future career?
For sure.
Yeah?
In Brazil, if you know English, especially if you want to work in a big company, an international company, they require you to know English. So English, it's very, very important if you want to have better job opportunities. That's why here my main focus is to learn English.
So it sounds like you want to be here to learn English.
Yes, yeah, it's my main purpose.
All right. So let's pretend we have a time machine now, and we're looking 5 years into the future. How do you think, you know, you've sort of talked about English a little bit, you know, improving English seems to be your goal, but are there other ways that you think having been a part of Science Without Borders will improve your chance at getting a better job?
Yes, for sure. I have been talking this with my friends, and here in Canada, I'm not only learning English, I'm also learning other skills, social skills. I have been growing as a person, and I have been able to deal with different people, and I think this will be very important in my future career, because in the workplace you have to deal with different kind of people, and you have to be able to get along with them,
Right.
to accept the difference.
And what is your future career going to be, you think?
No, I will be a pharmacist in 1 year from now.
Oh, okay.
And my intention is to work in a clinic or maybe in an industry, so I will have to deal with people.
Right, so you need to know how to interact with different
I have
people.
to know for sure.
Yeah, that's very important. So, if you could go back, you know, if we're going back to the time machine thought again, if you could go back to when you were considering taking part of Science Without Borders, and knowing what you know now about the program, would you tell yourself to go, or would you tell yourself to do something else with your time, with this year?
To go for sure.
Yeah.
It has been an amazing experience, amazing.
Tell me a little bit about your research. What was your research project this summer?
I developed a research program in the area of chemistry.
Oh, okay.
And it was related with trace amines.
What's a trace amine, for those of us who aren't into pharmaceuticals?
Actually, it's an area that I never studied before,
Really?
and in the beginning it was a big challenge for me.
Mm-hmm.
But trace amine, basically they are a substance that is present in our brain in small amounts.
Oh, okay.
And they can interfere with some brain process.
Right.
Yeah, I think if I get much into it, people will not be so interested.
Okay.
Because
Well,
it's
that's
very
all right.
complex, and trace amine is actually a very new concept.
Well, what was your goal with your project? Like, what was sort of the direction you were taking with it? Maybe tell us that, like, briefly, like, just like a minute.
My goal with my project?
Yeah.
Okay, so what do you mean, the goal of the project, or the goal that I consider to myself?
Well, the goal, like, what was your purpose for your project? So what were you trying to learn, I guess?
I think in my research project I got to know more about trace amines. I also learned how to use some equipment that I never worked in Brazil before. And I think I had the opportunity also to learn some technical skills, which will be very important for me.
Okay. So, do you have any words of advice or wisdom for other students who are thinking about studying in a different country?
If I could say something, I think everybody should have an opportunity like that, to go to a different country, to learn a new language. to get along with different people, because I know for sure that this year that I'm here in Canada and everything that I'm passing through will be forever with me. Not only the English, but all the experience that I passed here.
Awesome. I've got one more question for you, Daniella.
Okay.
What's your favorite thing about Canada?
My favorite thing about Canada, this is difficult.
So many things to choose.
One thing for sure that is not my favorite is the winter.
Okay, yeah, it's a bit cold, right?
Yeah, the first week that I was here, I saw, oh my God, snow is amazing. But after 1 week, you get tired of it,
right,
because it's really, really cold. But I think there are some ways that you can enjoy winter too. You can go tubing, you can go skiing.
Yeah.
So it can be very funny, but I don't know if I would be able to live in this cold for the rest of my life. But I think one thing that I can say that I loved about Canadians is that Canadians are very polite. Very, very polite. And I think everyone should learn by them.
Right.
They are very, very polite. And also, Canada is a place that offers many opportunities to people. Here people have a good quality of life, I consider. In my country we have to, but I think here the government invests more on
right,
people, on quality of life.
right.
And I think this should be taken as an example.